The alarm blared through the UES Defiant. Red lights flashed as Captain Yoonji Kim gripped her command chair. The ship shuddered. "Status report!" Yoonji shouted over the noise. Technician Han Sol looked up from his screen. "Hull breach in Section 4. Sealing now." Yoonji nodded. The Defiant floated hidden among Jupiter's asteroid belt. Once part of Earth's proud fleet, it was now the last ship standing. 6 months of war against the galactic hegemony had reduced humanity's forces to this single vessel. "Power levels?" Yoonji asked. 30%, replied Engineer Sunmi, her face streaked with grease. "We can't take another hit like that last battle." Yoonji stared at the main screen. The vast gas giant Jupiter provided some cover, but they couldn't hide forever. The crew of 50 looked to her for answers she didn't have. Lieutenant Jiho approached her chair. "Captain, the crew needs rest. We've been running on stims for 3 days." "I know," Yoonji said softly, "but we can't afford to drop our guard." The communications officer Minho suddenly straightened. "Captain, incoming transmission, it's from Earth. Encrypted channel." Yoonji's heart raced. "Put it through to my personal screen." The tired face of Admiral Do-yoon appeared. His office showed signs of recent damage. "Captain Kim," he said, voice crackling through static. "I don't have much time. Our sensors show the hegemony's immortal armada has left their base. All 1,000 ships. They're heading for Earth." Yoonji felt the blood drain from her face. "The immortal armada? But that's their strongest fleet." "Yes, they're done playing games. They want Earth now." Admiral Do-yoon looked over his shoulder. "Our last defense satellites will fall within days. After that, how long do we have?" 5 days, maybe 6. The Admiral's image flickered. "Captain, I'm not ordering you to return. The Defiant is too valuable to lose. If you choose to run to the outer colonies, I understand." Yoonji clenched her jaw. "Sir, with respect, we can't abandon Earth." 1 ship against 1,000? That's not a battle, Captain. That's suicide." The transmission ended abruptly. Yoonji sat in silence for a long moment. "Captain?" Jiho asked. "Bad news?" Yoonji stood up. "Call the senior staff to the war room. Now." 20 minutes later, Yoonji faced her top officers around the holographic table. She told them about the immortal armada. "We have 2 choices," she said. "Run to the outer colonies and survive, or try to help Earth." Chief Engineer Sunmi shook her head. "How?" "We're 1 ship with damaged weapons. The immortal armada has 1,000 vessels." Security Chief Daejung punched the table. "So we just give up? Let them take Earth?" "No one's giving up," Yoonji said firmly. "But we need to be realistic about our chances." The room fell silent. Then Navigator June spoke up. "What about Dr. Park's research?" All eyes turned to him. Yoonji felt a spark of hope. "Dr. Taewon Park's resonance theory? That was never tested." "Yes, but he believed it would work," June insisted. "Before he died, he sent you his final calculations." Yoonji walked to the wall safe and entered her code. She pulled out a small data drive. "Dr. Park discovered that all hegemony ships use the same shield frequency," she explained, inserting the drive into the table computer. "He believed that if we could hit that exact frequency with enough power, we could create a cascade effect." A complex diagram appeared above the table. "In theory," Yoonji continued, "one properly timed energy pulse could disrupt their entire weight shield network. If ships are close enough together, the effect would jump from one to another." Sunmi studied the diagram. "This would require a massive power source, more than we have. And we'd need to get right in the middle of their fleet," Jiho added. "They'd destroy us before we could activate it." Yoonji smiled slightly. "Not if they can't see us." The officers looked confused. "The hegemony relies on quantum sensors," Yoonji explained. "But what if we could hide from those sensors? Become a ghost ship?" Daejung leaned forward. "The alien tech we salvaged from that scout ship last month, could we use that?" Sunmi's eyes widened. "Maybe. Their cloaking technology works differently than ours. If we could adapt it, For the first time in months, Yoonji saw real hope in her crew's eyes. "It's still a long shot," she warned. "But it's the only shot Earth has." The ship's AI voice came through the speakers. "Captain, we've detected a hegemony scout ship entering the asteroid field. They appear to be searching patterns." Yoonji stood up. "Then we don't have much time. Engineer Sunmi, begin modifications for the resonance weapon. Lieutenant Jiho, work with June to plot a course that will intercept the immortal armada. Dae-jung, I need your team to adapt that alien cloaking tech." As her officers hurried to their tasks, Yoonji looked at the small photo she kept in her pocket. Her family on Earth. Her home. One ship against 1,000. She whispered to herself. "Let's show them what humans can do." The flashing red lights in the Defiance engine room cast eerie shadows across Engineer Sunmi's face as she worked. Her hands moved quickly, connecting alien technology to human systems. Sparks flew from her welding tool. "Careful with the power. Coupling," she said to her assistant Jin-woo. "One wrong move and we'll fry every circuit on this deck." Jin-woo nodded, his young face serious. For 3 days, the entire engineering team had worked without rest, implementing Captain Yoonji's desperate plan. In her quarters, Yoonji studied old recordings of her mentor, Dr. Tae-won Park. His thin face filled her screen. "The key is understanding that all hegemony technology operates on the same basic principle," Dr. Park explained in the recording. "Their shield systems vibrate at a specific frequency. If we can match that frequency and then create a sudden phase shift, the disruption would cascade through their entire network." Yoonji paused the recording. She remembered the day 5 years ago when she first met Dr. Park at the Earth Defense Academy. Most people thought his theories were crazy, but she had seen the brilliance behind his ideas. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she called. Lieutenant Jiho stepped in. "Captain, Sunmi reports the first phase of modifications is complete. We're ready to test the cloaking system." "Good. Tell all departments to prepare for a full power shutdown. We'll need every bit of energy for this test." Minutes later, Yoonji stood on the bridge. The crew worked quietly, tension filling the air. "All systems ready, Captain," reported Sunmi over the comm. "But I should warn you, this is completely untested technology. The power drain will be massive." "Understood. Proceed." Sunmi's voice came through again. "Activating Ghost Protocol in 3, 2, 1. The lights dimmed across the ship. The normal hum of engines faded to silence. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the main view screen changed. The stars looked different, brighter somehow. "Status?" Yoonji asked. Navigator June checked his instruments. "Sensors show nothing, Captain. According to every reading, we don't exist." A cheer broke out on the bridge. Yoonji allowed herself a small smile. "Let's not celebrate yet," she cautioned. "Sunmi, how long can we maintain this state?" 4 hours at most. After that, we'll need to recharge." "That should be enough for—" Suddenly, alarms blared. The tactical officer Hae-won called out, "Captain, hegemony scout ship approaching from Sector 7. Yoonji's heart raced. "How close?" "Very close. They'll pass within 1 kilometer of our position." The bridge fell silent. This was the true test of Ghost Protocol. "All stations quiet," Yoonji ordered. "Minimal power, no transmissions." On the view screen, they watched as the sleek, predatory shape of a hegemony scout ship glided past them. Its scanning beams swept through the space. Where the Defiant hid, seconds stretched into minutes. No one breathed. The scout ship continued on its path, showing no sign it had detected them. Once it was safely distant, Yoonji released her breath. "They didn't see us." Sunmi's voice came through excited. "Captain, their scanning beam passed right through us. The Ghost Protocol worked perfectly, but their celebration was cut short." The scout ship suddenly stopped and turned around. "They've detected something," Hae-won said, voice tight with fear. Yoonji made a quick decision. "Power up weapons. If they've found us, we take them out before they can report back." "But Captain," Jiho protested, "firing weapons will collapse our cloaking field." "I know. But we can't let them report our position. The scout ship moved closer, its sensors probing the area. Yunji stood. Target their communications array first, then engines. Weapons free on my mark. The bridge crew prepared for battle. Finger hovering over the firing control, Heiwan waited for the command. Just as Yunji opened her mouth to give the order, the scout ship suddenly changed course and accelerated away. They're leaving? Jiho asked, confused. Navigator Jun checked his readings. It appears they detected the asteroid field's magnetic anomalies, not us. Relief flooded the bridge. Yunji sat back in her chair. Stand down weapons, maintain ghost protocol. Later in the mess hall, Yunji found Sunmi eating alone. The engineer looked exhausted. Good work today, Yunji said, sitting across from her. Sunmi nodded. It worked better than I expected, but there's still so much to do before we're ready to face the Immortal Armada. We have 3 days, Yunji said. Can you finish the resonance weapon by then? Sunmi hesitated. Maybe. If everything goes perfectly. In the silence that followed, they both knew that nothing ever went perfectly. The ship's communication system suddenly activated. Captain to the bridge. Urgent message from Earth. When Yunji arrived, Communications Officer Minho looked grave. It's Admiral Do-Yun again. The message is corrupted, but... The screen showed the Admiral, his office now visibly damaged. Faster than we expected. First wave already. Static cut in. 2 days at most. More static. God help us all. The transmission ended. Yunji turned to her crew. We just lost 2 days. The Immortal Armada will reach Earth in 48 hours. In the far reaches of space, Supreme Admiral Crit received the report of his scout ship's strange readings near Jupiter. He stared at the star map showing the destroyed human fleets. One ship, he murmured. One human ship still dares to resist. He turned to his second-in-command. Change course. Before we take Earth, I want that last ship found and destroyed. No one escapes the Immortal Armada. The massive Immortal Armada filled the view screen as the Defiant approached under Ghost Protocol. Over 500 warships clustered in formation, with another 500 spread in defensive patterns. Navigator Jun carefully guided their ship through the outer perimeter. Power levels? Captain Yunji asked quietly. Ghost Protocol consuming 60% of reserves. Sunmi reported from engineering. We have maybe 3 hours before we need to power down and recharge. Lieutenant Jiho stood beside the captain's chair, his face tense. This is madness, he whispered. We're flying straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. Yunji understood his fear. The Defiant was now passing between 2 enormous hegemony battlecruisers, each one 100 times their size. If detected, they would be destroyed in seconds. Stay the course, she ordered calmly. We need to map their formation before we can implement the resonance weapon. The Defiant's crew represented Earth's diversity. Security Chief Dae-jung had been a farmer before the war. Communications Officer Minho was once a famous musician. Tactical Officer Heiwan had been studying medicine. Now they were humanity's last defense. As they ventured deeper into the enemy fleet, Minho adjusted his headset. Captain, I'm picking up their communications. Translating now. The harsh, clicking language of the hegemony filled the bridge. Then, the ship's computer converted it to human speech. Supreme Admiral Crit demands updates on the search for the missing scout ship, Minho reported. They suspect a human vessel might be responsible. Yunji frowned. They're looking for us. Speed up the mapping process. The ship's AI spoke unexpectedly. Captain, I have analyzed the hegemony communication patterns. Their encryption is similar to the technology we salvaged. I believe I can access more of their network. Everyone looked surprised. Aria, the ship's artificial intelligence, rarely spoke unless addressed directly. Aria, that would be extremely helpful, Yunji said, but be careful not to trigger any security alerts. Understood, Captain. Beginning infiltration of their information network. As Aria worked, the Defiant continued its silent journey through the enemy fleet. Through the view screen, They witnessed the hegemony's terrifying power. A small moon orbiting Saturn was suddenly targeted by dozens of ships. Green energy. Beams lanced out and the moon shattered into fragments. "My God," whispered Jiho. "Why would they destroy an uninhabited moon?" Heywan's voice was grim. Target practice. Hours passed. Tension aboard the Defiant grew as their power reserves dropped. Sunmi reported from engineering that the Ghost protocol was becoming unstable. In the captain's ready room, Jiho confronted Yunji. "Captain, we need to talk." "About what, Lieutenant?" "This plan. It's too risky." Jiho paced the small room. "We've gathered enough data. We should retreat and try another approach." Yunji shook her head. "There is no other approach, no other weapon that could possibly stop this fleet. The resonance weapon is untested. Dr. Park never even built a prototype, because he didn't have access to hegemony technology. We do." Jiho slammed his hand on the desk. "And what if it doesn't work? We'll have sacrificed Earth's last ship for nothing." Before Yunji could respond, Arya's voice came through the speakers. "Captain, I have discovered something important. Requesting your presence on the bridge." When they arrived, Arya displayed a complex diagram of the Immortal Armada's formation. "The fleet is arranged in a specific pattern," Arya explained. "It appears to be designed to channel energy between ships, strengthening their collective shields." Yunji studied the diagram. "That's why they're called the Immortal Armada. They share shield power." "Correct. But this also creates a vulnerability. If we target these specific nodes," several points lit up on the display, "the resonance effect would spread much faster than we calculated." Hope flared in Yunji's eyes. "How much faster?" "The entire fleet could be disabled within minutes, rather than hours." Jiho looked skeptical. "Arya, how did you determine this?" "I have integrated aspects of the hegemony processing protocols into my systems. It has expanded my capabilities." Sunmi's voice came urgently over the comm. "Captain, power reserves critical. Ghost protocol failing in 3 minutes. Return to the bridge, Sunmi," Yunji ordered. "Arya, transfer all your findings to the tactical station." As they prepared to retreat from the fleet, alarms suddenly blared. "We've been detected," Heywan shouted. "Hegemony vessels changing course to intercept." On the main screen, they watched in horror as Supreme Admiral Krit's massive flagship turned toward them. "Engine power at maximum," Yunji commanded. "We need to get out of their weapons range." As the Defiant fled, Arya spoke again, her voice somehow different, more alive. "Captain, I believe I can help us escape, but I will need direct access to all ship systems." Yunji hesitated only briefly. "Do it." The ship's lights flickered as Arya took control. The Defiant executed a series of impossible maneuvers, weaving between enemy vessels with inhuman precision. "What's happening?" Jiho asked in amazement. "Evolution," Arya answered simply. The Defiant raced through space, its engines straining, as hegemony ships pursued from all directions. Captain Yunji gripped her chair as the vessel shook violently. "Status report," she shouted over the alarms. "Hull integrity at 60%, reported Sunmi from engineering. "We can't take much more of this." Arya's voice came through the speakers, calm despite the chaos. "Captain, I have plotted an escape route, but it will bring us dangerously close to the flagship." "Do it," Yunji ordered without hesitation. The Defiant spun and dove between two massive hegemony cruisers. Enemy fire filled space around them, most missing as Arya's enhanced reflexes guided the ship through impossible maneuvers. On the main screen, Supreme Admiral Krit's flagship loomed ahead, a mountain of metal and weapons over 20 times the size of the Defiant. "This is our chance," Yunji said, standing. "Prepare the resonance drones." The plan had changed. Instead of using the Defiant itself to deliver the resonance pulse, they would deploy specially designed drones throughout the fleet. Each drone carried a small transmitter programmed to emit the specific frequency that would disrupt hegemony shields. "Drones ready," confirmed Heywan. "But we only have 20. Your original plan called for at least 50. 20 will have to do," Yunji said. "Deploy them as we pass the main fleet concentration." As the Defiant sped past Admiral Crit's flagship, the small drones shot out from hidden compartments. They scattered in different directions, their tiny engines pushing them toward key positions in the fleet formation. "Drones away," HFY announced. 19 successful deployments, 1 failure. Lieutenant Jiho studied the tactical display. "It's not enough, they're too spread out to create the cascade effect." A massive explosion rocked the ship. Red warning lights flashed across every console. "Direct hit to our weapons array." Sunmi's voice crackled through damaged speakers. "Main cannon offline." On the view screen, they watched as the enormous flagship turned to pursue them directly. Dozens of smaller ships followed. "They're boxing us in," Navigator June warned. "No escape route available." Yunji looked around at her crew. They had come, so far risked everything. She refused to fail now. "Divert all power from weapons to the resonance transmitter," she ordered. Sunmi's shocked voice came back. "Captain, that would leave us defenseless." "We're already defenseless. Our only hope is to trigger the resonance cascade before they destroy us." As the crew carried out her orders, Arya spoke again. "Captain, I have analyzed the situation. The drones alone cannot create a strong enough effect with their current programming. What do you suggest?" "I could transfer my core programming into the drone network. My processing power would allow them to adapt and strengthen the resonance field." The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what Arya was suggesting. The ship's AI would essentially sacrifice itself. "Would you survive?" Yunji asked quietly. "Not as I am now," Arya replied. "I would be fragmented across multiple systems." Jiho stepped forward. "Arya, you don't have to do this." "Yes, I do, Lieutenant. The mission must succeed." Yunji closed her eyes briefly. "Do it, Arya." The lights dimmed as Arya began the transfer process. The main computer screens flickered and went dark one by one. "Transfer complete," Arya's voice said, now coming through a small emergency speaker. "Initiating resonance pulse in 3, 2, 1. Nothing seemed to happen at first. Then, on the tactical display, they saw a small hegemony patrol ship suddenly lose power and drift. "It's working!" HFY exclaimed. Another ship went dark, then another. The effect spread slowly at first. "The resonance cascade is beginning," June reported. "But it's moving too slowly. At this rate, it will take hours to affect the entire fleet." Yunji watched the display intently. "We don't have hours." On the main screen, Admiral Crit's flagship loomed larger, its weapons powering up for a final, devastating attack. Then, unexpectedly, Arya's voice returned, different, scattered, as if speaking from multiple places at once. "I have adapted. The hegemony systems are more compatible than expected. I am everywhere." The resonance effect suddenly accelerated. Dozens of ships began losing power, their shields failing in rapid succession. "What's happening?" Jiho asked in amazement. Sunmi studied her readings. "It's Arya. She's using the hegemony's own communication network to boost the resonance signal." The effect spread like wildfire through the enemy fleet. As each ship lost power, the resonance grew stronger, affecting more vessels in an accelerating chain reaction. Supreme Admiral Crit's voice suddenly came through on all frequencies, his alien language translated by the remaining parts of Arya's systems. "What is this? What have you done?" Yunji activated the communication system. "This is Captain Yunji Kim of Earth. You shouldn't have underestimated us." On the tactical display, they watched as the massive flagship's shields began to flicker and fail. The butterfly effect had begun, one small change creating a cascade of consequences that would bring down an empire. In the desolate wasteland of a world torn apart by conflict, a lone figure emerged from the shadows of a crumbling city. Marcus Steele, a former military strategist, walked with purposeful steps through the ruins of what was once a thriving metropolis. The symphony of destruction echoed around him, distant explosions, the whisper of wind through broken buildings, the haunting silence of a civilization reduced to rubble. Years of war had stripped away everything but survival. Marcus carried a worn leather bag, his only companion in this merciless landscape. Inside, he held the last hope for humanity, a compact device that could potentially reverse the catastrophic damage done to the planet. The device was simple yet complex, a technological marvel created in the final moments before the global collapse. It represented years of secret research, hidden from the warring factions that had consumed the world in their endless battles. Marcus was the last guardian of this technology, chosen for his unique skills and absolute dedication to saving what remained of human civilization. As he navigated through the broken streets, memories flickered like damaged film. He remembered the world before, cities that touched the sky, technology that seemed like magic, people who lived without constant fear. Those days were gone, replaced by a brutal reality where survival was the only currency that mattered. Shadows moved in the distance. Marcus knew he wasn't alone. The remnants of various military groups still roamed these territories, hunting for resources and eliminating any potential threats. His device made him the most valuable target in this broken world. A distant sound caught his attention, the mechanical whir of a drone. Marcus quickly ducked behind a collapsed concrete wall, his body moving with the precision of a trained soldier. Years of survival had turned him into a master of stealth and quick thinking. The drone passed overhead, its sensors scanning the desolate landscape. Marcus held his breath, understanding that one wrong move could mean instant detection. Sweat beaded on his forehead, his hand instinctively touching the device in his bag. This wasn't just a mission, it was humanity's last chance. As the drone disappeared, Marcus continued his journey. The device he carried could potentially reset environmental systems, clean radioactive zones, and restart agricultural production. It was more than technology. It was hope compressed into a small metallic container. Night began to fall, painting the ruined landscape in shades of gray and deep blue. Marcus found shelter in an abandoned building, carefully setting up a small defensive perimeter. He knew the risks of staying in one place too long, but rest was necessary. The device needed careful handling. One wrong move, one technical error, and everything would be lost. Marcus spent hours checking its intricate systems, running diagnostics. By the soft glow of a small emergency light, outside the world remained dangerous. Fractured groups of survivors moved like ghosts, some seeking help, others looking to take whatever they could find. Marcus represented something different, a potential solution in a world that had forgotten what hope looked like. His journey was far from over. Reaching the central restoration point would require crossing multiple dangerous territories. Each step was calculated, each movement deliberate. The fate of potentially millions rested in his hands and within the delicate technology he protected. As midnight approached, Marcus allowed himself a moment of reflection. The world hadn't ended. It had transformed. And in this transformation, he might be the key to rebuilding what was lost. The device hummed softly in his bag, a quiet promise of potential redemption. Marcus Steele closed his eyes, listening to the distant sounds of a world waiting to be reborn. Tomorrow would be another day of survival, another day of hope, another day in the symphony of destruction that might yet turn into a melody of reconstruction.